back to another YouTube video. Today, let's talk about all the books I read in the month of July. I am getting a strange feeling of like deja vu because I feel like I just did my June wrap up not too long ago, and it's crazy how fast summer has been going by. But we are getting closer to fall, which is my favorite season, but I am very sad that summer is just flying by. Alright, so let's get into some bookish stats. I read a total of 10 books. 4 of those books were on my July TBR that I set up, meaning that I did not get to 2 of them. Oops. The highest rated book I read this month was a 4.5, while the lowest was a 3-star. I read many different genres this month. The most being read was horror with 3 books. Coming in at a tie would be manga. I read 3 mangas. Then we had 2 romances and 1 nonfiction. Surprisingly, it was a memoir, and 1 psychological thriller / contemporary fiction, but I don't know where it would lie, but it could be either or. Now let's go through all of the books I read and my thoughts about them. The first book I read in the month of July was Dan by, hold on, I got this, Yukinobu Tatsu. Hopefully I got that. And this is the first volume in the series. If you don't know Dan, it is an anime on Netflix. I have watched season 1, but that was maybe like a year ago, and I know there is already a season 2. I have not watched any of season 2, but I saw this at my local library, so I thought why not pick it up and read it, and boy, it matched exactly what like the first couple episodes of Dan is. It is a wild ride. You have ghosts, you have aliens, you have maybe some romance, maybe some adventure, some action, a little bit of everything. It is such a wild ride. The one thing I really love about Dan is the artwork. I love the character design, and I also love the characters. It's super chaotic, it's fun. I definitely will probably read more of the manga series and also probably catch up on season 2, but I did rate this a 4-star. I typically give mangas a 4-star because most of the mangas I pick up, I usually watch the anime if they have one, or I pick them up because they interest me. So this was a 4-star, and this was the first read of July. Book number 2 for July was Supermarket by Bobby Hall, aka Logic. This was his first fiction piece that he put out to the world, and I say fiction piece loosely, or contemporary fiction, because it could also be a psychological thriller. There was a lot going on in this plot where it felt very contemporary and coming of age, but it also felt very like psychological thriller, like craziness going on. I don't even know what to say. And in classic Logic style, the themes of this book kind of go with creativity and mental health, and that's kind of who Logic is. He talks a lot about the importance of mental health and all of that, which I really appreciate someone doing that, especially a male rapper. So he definitely throws those themes into Supermarket. Overall, I enjoyed the story. I will say the plot was a little like uneven and felt just kind of all over the place, but again, I will give some leniency towards it because it was his first book. So I did rate this a 3-star. It was an average, okay? A 3-star is pretty good, but it was a little all over the place, but it was kind of a fun ride as well. So this was a 3-star. I know he has his memoir, which I do own, and I also know he has a like sci-fi book out called Ultra 85. I'm not sure if I really want to pick it up because I'm not a big sci-fi person, but if you've read it, should I read it? So That was book number 2. Book number 3, which is very, very hard to see because of the bright cover, is The Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han. This book is the first in a trilogy, and it is also a TV show, which I'm pretty sure most people know and have watched it and know the whole thing. But this is my first time going into it blindly, not knowing anything. But this book, The Summer I Turned Pretty, I will say screams like nostalgic summer romance. You have family drama, you have relationships, you have just like coming of age story for a young adult like romance, basically. I will say there is a bit of a love triangle in this book, and you probably already know that, but if you don't, there's a love triangle. We have our main character Belly. She goes up to this house every summer, and she's been going there ever since she was a kid with her brother Steven, and there are 2 other boys up at the house or lake house that she goes to. Not lake house, it's on the ocean, I'm pretty sure. So not really a lake house, ocean house, beach house, that's the better word. There's 2 other boys that are up there, Conrad and Jeremiah. My bad, I forgot the other guy's name. But those are kind of the 2 love interests she has because she's grown up with them and she's kind of just like loved them. But is like Jeremiah just like a brother to her and Conrad's the guy for her, or is the other way around? But that's basically the love triangle. And like I said, first in a trilogy, so you get to kind of grow and learn more about them probably throughout the whole trilogy. Will I continue the series? Maybe. I do own the trilogy, so I should continue the series since I do own the books. But I did rate this a 3.5. Just because it's not my like typical like cup of tea type deal, but I did enjoy. There's nothing really wrong with it. It was definitely like a YA vibe to it, so a 3.5 for this book, The Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han. The next books I'm actually going to put together because they go together. So these are books number 4 and 5, which is kind of funny because they are books 4 and 5 in the Cat Plus Gamer series, Volume 4, Volume 5, and I'm going to talk about them because I read them back to back and within the same day because they are so quick and easy. And if you've watched any of my wrap-ups, you have known that I have been kind of reading these mangas the last like what, 2 months, maybe month. Cat Plus Gamer is about a girl who is a gamer and she suddenly gets a cat, and it's basically her like her life being a gamer and taking care of a cat. It's fun, it's cute, I love the artworks, I love cats, I'm a gamer. It's just why I picked up the manga in the first place. So volume number 4 is the continuation of the following her with her cat, but another cat is soon added to the story, as we can see on the cover. And Volume 5 continues that and seeing how these 2 grow together, these 2 cats, and they're so cute. I can't get over it. So both books I rated 4 stars. Like I said before, mangas I typically rate 4 stars because they're so quick. I love them and cute and nothing more I can say. So I wanted to do these 2 books together because they're so fun and cute and they're the same rating and they're the same from the same series. So those were books 4 and 5 that I read in the month of July. Coming up next, we have Endgame by Willa Gray. Now, this was not on my TBR. I actually had Icebreaker on my TBR, and instead of reading that hockey romance, I read this hockey romance because one of my very good friends recommended this book. She like binge read this book within like a few days and was like, you need to pick it up as soon as possible, and that's what I did. We had lots of chemistry, lots of banter, and of course lots of hockey. And I know this is not a very well-known hockey romance, so let me tell you a little bit about it. It says she's about to proposition a famous hockey player. Eleanor Ford is ready for a fresh start away from her dead-end relationship, her grieving dad in the city that so deeply reminds her of her mom. Things are off to a good start when she hooks up with the hottest guy she's ever met, and she has no idea. Matthew Anderson feels like a ticking time bomb. At 36, he's pushing the envelope for a pro athlete and he knows it, but deciding when to call it quits and what to do after, it's the decision he thinks he might send him into a early midlife crisis. Then Ellie comes barreling into his world and he feels like his priorities might be changing. The catch? Ellie's not interested in dating a hockey player and he doesn't know why. Can Matt convince Ellie he's endgame material, or will his first love, hockey, ruin everything? And the fun thing about this book, it is set in Minnesota, so that was a big plus for this book. I will say I definitely had a fun time with this book, and I will say I will continue reading more of Willa Gray's writing. I loved it, and I'm pretty sure she is now going to be traditionally published because this is the indie copy before she got traditionally published. So I definitely want to read more by her, and I'm not sure if this will be a series or if she'll continue to write hockey romance or what. But I definitely want to read more. So I rated this a 4-star. Who would have thought I would pick up a nonfiction book, and that nonfiction book was a memoir. It is Tuesdays with Morrie, An Old Man, a Young Man, and Life's Greatest Lesson by Mitch Albom. I was inspired to read this after Sarah Caroli has read it maybe earlier this year, I want to say. It could have been even later last year. But this is a memoir about Mitch Albom's interactions and kind of life story with this guy named Morrie, who is this elderly man who is basically on his deathbed, and how Mitch met with him and did interviews with him on, of course, Tuesdays and talked to him. And I will say I kind of felt a little emotional reading this because it talks a lot about death, and there were some parts where I just had to stop because my brain just was thinking way too much about that topic. So I kind of had a pause, but I think the way that Mitch put it in this memoir is purposeful and is meant to make you kind of think that way, and especially with Morrie's point of view about death. So, did I cry over an old man passing? Yes. This has a lot to talk about death and relationships and friendships. I should say more than relationships, because it's not a love relationship. It's more like friendship or just people you can connect with. And Morrie just had this sense of wisdom that kind of followed him everywhere until the last moments of his life. Now, if you're someone who doesn't really read nonfiction or memoirs, I'm like that too. I'm not a person, but I would recommend reading this. At least try it out because it's pretty short, but it's also emotional and impactful, and I think it's important to read because we need some of Morrie's wisdom in today's world. So I did rate this a 3.75. Now we're getting a little spooky summerween with these last couple books, and you'll see what I mean by that, with starting off The Foulcroft Ghosts by Darcy Coates. Now, this is my third Darcy Coates book. I enjoy her writing. It's just so fast-paced and entertaining, and it kind of just gets to the point right away. It's easy to read. The Foulcroft Ghosts is definitely a haunted house ghost story-esque vibe to it. I will say I did like the other Darcy Coates books that I read, which was House of Shadows and House of Secrets. I did like that a little bit more than this. That one just definitely drew me in. This was a little bit of a not harder read, but just kind of boring. Not a lot was going on in the plot, but I will say she does have a way to make her books creepy and eerie with the atmosphere or the setting of the story. So if you like that vibe, you'll probably love a Darcy Coates book. And it's still a solid spooky read, so I enjoyed it. This was a 3.5. Now, this was my highest rated book. I was anticipating this book to be a very highly rated book, and it was, so I'm so glad about that. This is The Place Where They Buried Your Heart by Christina Henry. I rated this a 4.25, 4.5. I'm still kind of on the edge of where I want to be exactly. I might go up to 4.5, and I'm trying to remember at the beginning when I was talking about book stats if I said 4.5. So if I did, we're sticking with it, but if I said 4.25, I'm sticking with that. But it's interchangeable. There's really no reason why it should go up or down. It's just kind of like in that space, you know. I absolutely loved reading this book. I took my time reading this book because it was so fun to read. Okay, it's so entertaining. It definitely is very reminiscent of Monster House, the movie, with the kids who go into the house and the house is alive. That's literally this book. And if you love that movie, you'll love this book. Again, it was just super fun and entertaining, and you never knew what was going on, and I always like was questioning, like, is this actually truly something paranormal or is it something else? And I think that's what Christina Henry did a really good job of when writing this book. I loved kind of traveling throughout a couple years of this house in this neighborhood and seeing different things that occurred with this house and how children have gone missing and people are getting injured and like all of this stuff. It's just super fun. So if you want something kind of eerie, creepy, and you want a house that's alive, that's eating possibly children, pick up this book. It's so fun. I think I might have to pick another Christina Henry book or something similar to this vibe because this was just such a fun read. And the last book that I read in the month of July was also a highly anticipated read, and that is What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. This is actually, I found out, a retelling of the fall of the House of Usher by, is it Poe? I think it's Poe. Edgar Allan Poe. I didn't know that going into this. I thought it was just like, you know, its own thing, but it was fun to find out this was a retelling of it. T. Kingfisher did such a great job with the horror aspect, or this like gothic horror vibe to it. I also will say it does include some body horror, which is something I really enjoyed actually in this book. It just made me kind of creeped out, but like also trying to like visualize what she is describing in this book was kind of cool. And in like a weird creepy way, because it was like so detailed, where I was like, oh my gosh, what would that look like? Ugh. I loved the eeriness, like I said, the creepiness and the atmosphere of this book, and I will continue. I know it's like kind of a series, like there's 2 other books. There's like I can't think of the names, like something, what Feasts the Night or something like that, and I don't know the other. It's like a white cover and a red cover. Yeah, you probably know. But those are the next books in the series or in this like world that's happening, which I would love to read as well. I know those, a lot of people don't really enjoy it. A lot of people enjoy this one more, but I still want to read them because I've been loving T. Kingfisher's writings, so I will probably pick them up. And again, I love just like a short little horror read. This was less than 200 pages and it was pretty quick to pick up. I did take my time with this as well, just to really be consumed by the horror, gothic horror vibes. So I did rate this a 4-star. There was 2 books off my monthly TBR I did not get to. Again, I just love the library and picking up books that I kind of would like to mood read, and I kind of feel a little bad for this one because I did read a hockey romance book, but not this one, and that was Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I need to pick this up. I own it. I need to just read it and see if it's worth keeping or if it's worth donating or just lending it to a friend or something like that. So unfortunately, I read a hockey romance. I didn't feel the need to read another hockey romance, but I have this if I ever feel the need to read a hockey romance. The other book I unfortunately did not get to was The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. I'm gonna be really honest, I kind of forgot this was on my TBR, even though it was sitting up on my shelf right there in my face. I just had no interest picking this up, but I definitely want to, again, pick it up since it's on my physical TBR and see what it's about, and to see if I like Geneva Rose's writing. That's another thing, is I know she has a couple other thriller books out there, so I want to see if I enjoy her books. Okay, here is the stack of books I read in the month of July. We kind of have like a rainbow of books. Like, I think I have one of every color of the rainbow, which is kind of fun. I love this. But 10 books this month, which again is a little less than June, but like not that bad, okay? Hopefully August stays within like this range of like 10 plus books. I'm not saying, knock on wood, that I will, but like I hope, maybe. But I love the horror books I've been getting into. I think that's kind of just been my vibe this whole summer, is like this whole summerween vibe. So 10 books this month, super happy about it. And again, I kind of love this little rainbow stack we got going on here. So that is all the books. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and also make sure you subscribe. I post videos once a week, whether it's bookish content like this, lifestyle vlogs, kind of whatever I'm in the mood for. So if you like what you're seeing, you should go ahead and subscribe. That's about it. Thanks for watching. Bye!